we've got questions, we've got answers. We have the man to answer them, Jeffrey Levine from Buckingham Wealth Partners. Jeffrey, welcome back to another episode of Ask the Hammer.
Hey, Bob. Good to be back. Looking forward to another question.
Well, here goes. It goes like this. My parents have offered to help me buy a house. They've offered to either gift me the down payment, which may be more than $30,000, or give me a loan for the amount I need. What are the pros and cons of each option, and are there options to consider that I haven't thought about?
Well, there are always options. For instance, you could just take a bigger loan yourself from a bank and all that. But it seems like this is something that your parents are willing to support you on, and that you'd like to potentially accept their help. And so let's talk about pros and cons. I mean, the pros of them gifting you the money, you don't have to pay it back. It's a gift, right? Like that's the biggest pro. It's your money. Congratulations, you've hit the lottery, so to speak. In terms of what the benefit of a loan would be, the primary benefit would be, you can set a loan rate at effectively, a really, really low interest rate right now, thanks to the current interest rate environment, without this loan being considered a gift. If the loan was at, like, let's say 0%, you'd actually have to impute a small amount of interest each year. But with rates as they are, you can actually have this loan be an extremely low interest rate, and you could pay this back to your parents. And this would be the benefit, of course, is that personally you might not want to take that money from your parents. For your parents, maybe a very easy way to help you fund, but they can still have this money back for their retirement. So it sounds perhaps overly simplistic, but the benefits to you if you take a gift versus the loan are, you get to keep the money. You don't have to pay it back. The benefits to your parents, if they are exactly the opposite, right? If it's a gift, they have foregone that money. It's not in their name anymore. And they're not getting it back. Whereas if it's a loan, they may eventually, hopefully at least if you pay them back, they'll see that money back in the future. It is worth noting that you may say, well, can I get a tax benefit? That's one of the common things that people say. Well, hey, don't I get a tax benefit if I pay interest? Yeah, you do, but you're still paying interest. So it's still a negative for people, right? There's not a way to deduct interest that makes the deduction of the interest worth more than the loss of the actual dollar of interest you were paying. In this case, maybe it's not truly a loss since your parents are getting back that same dollar. But ultimately, if they are receiving interest from you via an intrafamily mortgage, there's taxable interest for them as well. So you just got to decide whether between you and your parents, who ultimately gets the money.
Right. So I get the having to pay interest on the loan. I can't recall, though, if there's a term that Uncle Sam makes you abide by.
Yeah, so it's called the applicable federal rate. So you've got to look at the applicable federal rate, and that's the minimum amount of that you could charge for interest that would be absent considering it a gift, right? You could have a 0% rate loan, and candidly, we're kind of close to that anyway, but you could have a true 0% rate loan that's paid back, but the minimum interest that's required using those AFRs, those applicable federal rates, that would be essentially imputed as a gift value. So for argument's sake, let's say you have a $300,000 loan, and the AFR is a hypothetical 1%, but you have a 0% interest rate. That would be considered a $3,000 gift per year, 1% times the $300,000 loan. And as the reader points out in their question, you can get a certain amount each year without even having to worry about filing a gift tax return, and that's $15,000 per person per year. So any amount under that, even if it was imputed interest, would actually not require the filing even of a gift tax return.
Right. And so would the person, if they took a loan, have to pay it back within 5, 10, 20 years, or is there a limit?
Your loan, you can make it your terms. You want to do a 10-year, you want to do a 62 and 3-month year mortgage, you could do that too. The world is your oyster. These are set your own terms and conditions.
All right. Well, I know governments are thinking about offering 50-year bonds, so maybe that works too for someone borrowing money from their parents.
Yeah, I get, when it's intrafamily, this is the one thing I would caution. If you are going to make it a loan, make sure you pay it back. it's one thing to say, you know what, thank you so much for this gift. It's amazing that you're willing to do that. And to set the expectation that there isn't going to be a repayment. And if you just feel like giving some money back in the future, that's awesome, but it wasn't expected. You don't want to set the expectation, though, that it's a loan and then mess it up, especially when it's your own parents, it's your own family. That can create intra-family hostility, and that's the last thing you want. It sounds like it's a great relationship, a great situation here. So no reason to ruin that over false promises.
All right. Well, I think that's a good enough segue for me to bring out the hammer and tell you that you nailed it once again.
Well, thank you, Bob. And if you'd like us to take a shot at nailing your question, just give us a shout. Email us at askthehammer@buckinghamgroup.com. Again, that's askthehammer@buckinghamgroup.com.